Hey, we got another great product here from Sloan Express. It's our gauge wheel press kit. We're going to go through and show you how that all gets assembled. But first we'll start off with your piece parts that you should see in your kit. First part of the kit is your bottom half of your gauge wheel assembly, which would be this cast piece. And the reason why we call it the bottom half is actually this is where your bushing goes in. This bushing here, which is threaded, that'll insert in there. And then our top half, for the top part of that assembly, as you can see, it doesn't have any kind of machining on it itself. Then we got our threaded rod, which we use for the bolt-through style gauge wheel. Your two guide pins that'll go into the block as well. Your two little set screws, which have a hex head on them. And then your bearing and your washer that actually goes into the assembly when we're pulling together with an impact. So what we'll do is we'll go through the process of showing the cross-hole bearing style gauge wheel, and also through the bolt. We'll also go through the bolt style gauge wheel as well. We'll show you both assembly processes. That way you get a fairly good idea how this all goes together. First, we're going to assemble our bushing in here. So just keep in mind it was the side that was recessed through machining. We have our two screws. And we got that process done. One thing I want to make mention of in this process, when we put these together, we've got it set up here on this little crate with a couple little boards. What we're doing is want to make sure that we have an open area through here, so when we put these together and we run that threaded rod through, we can at least drive straight through and not have to worry about it ever pushing up on us. So what we want to do now is get this to where we're somewhat flat on here, so when we do compress, everything's staying nice and secure, doesn't want to roll on us. Now that we have this all stabilized, I'm going to grab the guide pins, we'll get them threaded in. They're both got two threaded holes on here to thread these into. Okay, we've got the guide pins threaded in here. Now we're going to grab our nylon wheel half. And one thing we want to point out on this, when you get ready to put this down, nylon wheel halves will always be down first. No, unless you have two steel halves, and it doesn't matter on those. Since we got a nylon wheel half here, we want to make sure it goes down first. And then a little trick to help you with guiding everything for your hardware, make sure you've got three holes that line up almost perfectly in a straight line. That way everything will line up when you go to assemble it. Okay, we got that secured. Now we're going to put our bearing in. Now we're going to get our tire. The only thing we want to do on this one, before we get everything pressed together, make sure we have our tire oriented the way we want it to for the final assembly. Now we'll grab our steel half of this wheel assembly. And as we discussed on that nylon half, now what we're going to do is the same thing on this steel half. Make sure these holes are aligned. So then we want to put that on that those guide pins as well, to get that all situated and oriented for you. And then we'll slip our other cast half on. Okay, we got that all secured. Now we're going to start. First, we're going to get some soapy water in here, or you got some tire lube, you can squeeze this in here as well. All we want to do is get these rim halves wet enough to where we can start the seating process of the rims into the tire. A little bit of overkill on the lubrication, but it's what we had to work with. So now we'll get the impact. We'll start putting this together. One word of caution, just when you start to pull these together, just make sure your fingers are free from any spots or pinch points. So we'll get started on that process of pulling them together. Okay, we got this one wrapped up. We'll end up taking it back apart, put all our hardware together, and you have a finished gauge wheel. Next, we're going to move over to the H-press one for any like your cross-hole bearing type setups on the gauge wheels. We'll go through that process next. And now we're going to go through the process of putting together either a cross-hole bearing or your short stem bearing type gauge wheels in the H-press. We'll go through that process and show that all going together. Same thing as what we did on the other gauge wheel, making sure those holes are lined up on those rims before we actually push them together. Make it a lot easier for assembly. So we'll go through that and get this all set up for you. Okay, we got this last gauge wheel fixed up and ready to go. If you like this product or have any inquiries, feel free to check it out online at sloanex.com or call us at 800-934-9777.